What did you hit to pull that up? This guy? Yes. He's about to get going? I think so. Yeah, it's going to broadcast in the hallway. That's the only way Periscope does it, though.
Is the tall way?
Yeah. I know.
How's that play with YouTube? Or does it?
Yeah.
Welcome, business pioneers, to the MJBA Denver MeetUp. Today, that means I talk about marijuana. Woo! All right, so thank you all for coming out tonight. I first of all want to welcome you all, and I call you all business pioneers because in fact you are. Please come on and have a seat. There's some seating upstairs if you want to get the eagle eye, you can do that as well. Just a note of caution or FYI, you are being streamed live and recorded here tonight. So anything that you can say or do say will be used against you or could be used against you for the court of public. So with that, we're ready for a big treat. Come on in, we've got a long evening. We've got about 7 different presentations tonight, so I'm thrilled about that. Every month we get together as members of the Colorado campus community, and we do 3 things, right? Number 1 is we build friends, we meet new friends, we build community, and that's always a good thing. So that's our there. But really what we try to do is share some business information, business intelligence, seek advice from those who are doing what you're doing, all in the notion of building community through which you will identify your own individual and business opportunity, right? You're going to hear me talk about those 3 elements again and again and again. As I said, we have a pretty big schedule here tonight, so we'll keep this moving fast. My name is Dave Rhines, and I am the founder and executive director of the Marijuana Business Association. And I will tell you a little bit about what that means in a minute. And we've got here in attendance Lewis Miller sitting up there on the kitchen counter. He is first up. Miller Soils is a national sponsor of MJBA and the sponsor of MJBA here in Denver. So thank you to Lewis for having me here. And so every month, Brian Strain, Soil gives us a little news update on what happened in the last 30 days that's noteworthy that you may or may not have that could rise up given how busy we are in our schedules. And then today we've got Terry Anderson from Grow Element here. So we're going to be talking a little bit about soils, talk a little bit about lights. We've got Keyless and should be showing up. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about Keyless and security business. So that's a new company. We've got a kind of a special entertainment treat for you tonight. Buddy, our older boys, older buds, I would say that wrong. Older buds, there we go. Name of Burgess is here, and we'll have a little trailer. So we've got the sight, sound, and motion here. Actually, a little difficulties. And we've got Clay Breyer from General Canvas. We'll talk a little bit about what General Canvas does. And Tunisian Extractors is here. We have David McGee, and we're going to talk a little bit about extraction business. And then OSHA, who doesn't want to talk about the Office of Safety and Health Safety Administration's Joe. We're going to talk about what it means if you're in the cannabis business, you have special OSHA considerations and are there things that you may or may not be aware of. So we'll talk a little bit about that. How's that sound? And then we always leave ample time for open networking, because again, that's really why we're here. So my talk tonight really is about I talked a little bit about what the Marijuana Business Association here. We talked about, why do you join a business association anyway? What's the value of that, and why do we have the MJBA? So the first thing that I would say is, you have two choices as an entrepreneur, and most of us, let's face it, are small or entrepreneurial businesses. And as such, you are understaffed for sure, right? You are under-resourced for sure. And you have here really not only the traditional entrepreneurial challenges of business planning and financing and product creation and marketing and messaging and all that good stuff, but you've got a special layer of compliance consideration, right? Not only the state were to maintain your license in good standing and not get fined, but you also have, because each and every one of us is still living under a federal interdiction. That means that all of us are engaged in some level of federal risk, right? So at any given point, what we are doing, more than 4 of us gathering together to talk about being in the cannabis business, is technically, a violation of the RICO Act, perhaps, right? We might be charged with conspiracy. Not that we believe that will be the case, because we believe our position is that we are a state-sanctioned industry, and that as long as we're compliant with the state, as long as we're good partners with the state, and adhere to the full guidelines, that we will in fact, be compliant. But that's not really the challenge. The compliance is the very minimum that you can do, and that's not what we're looking for at all. What we're looking for, this first crop of industry professionals, right? You guys are defining the entire space, and the whole world is watching. Particularly here in Denver, right? Where you guys were the first ones open, and the whole world looked at those first stores that opened and said, will the sky fall? Right? Will morality go out the window? What about the kids? You heard it all. You had a governor who was all that excited about legalization. And so now we are a year and a half into the brand experiment, as some have deemed it, and hey, we're doing pretty well. Even Governor Hickenlooper says, better than I thought, and hey, we're doing pretty good, right? And so what the challenge is now that we've, I think, past that first hurdle, is how do we create an industry that is one of extraordinary intentionality? How do we build businesses that take care of our workers? How do we pay our people equal wages? How do we build product that's environmentally sound? How do we create an industry that will be the shining example for other industries to follow. Because indeed, if we are successful and they're successful in Washington and Oregon and Alaska, and as we come online, then in fact this will become not only a national industry, but will become an international industry, and it's happening already, right? So I just read the FDA is about to approve GW Pharmaceuticals first epilepsy drug on a legal basis. So that means that, in fact, there will be big pharmacies already in the marijuana industry, right? Already with third trials and those will be green. So it's not when does medical marijuana become mainstream, it's happening. It's not when does hemp become mainstream, it's happening right now. It's not, will we get banking? Will we get the kinds of tax relief and banking support, that rescheduling or descheduling? It's happening slower than we like because it's a tangled hairball that we've woven and a lot of special interest. But it's guys like you, guys and gals like you in this room who will be that example, right? So when the regulators and the federal government, and I've been working with delegations from the U.S. Virgin Islands here in the country for the third time, touring around our industry saying, hey, how do we bring these to this agreement? How do we take this once it's legal, once the U.S. has allowed this, so that we can start helping our people? And they're coming to Denver, they're coming to Colorado, and they're coming to all of our communities to see how you're doing your business. So I encourage you all to strive for excellence. Each and every one of you is at that forefront. It's an industry that will only grow. There are plenty of spaces. We have a need for executives. We have a need for intellectual property. We have a need for new players. This is not, we have not reported called me today and said, has marijuana peaked? Nice to yeah. There we go. So we try to do what we do through business intelligence, through these meetups, through seminars and trade shows, and through our many publications. So MJ Headlines on Facebook and MJ News Network on the web, and Marijuana Channel 1 on YouTube, where you'll be able to see this in a little bit. So please share with us your information about your communities, about your concerns, and we see ourselves as that platform to try to help disseminate this broader than our consent circles, right? Because you start with the activists, and we got the core business, the licensees, and the professional service providers, and at this point, a year and a half into the experiment, we have gotten mainstream is interested in us, right? We've gotten investors are interested, we've gotten media is interested, we've gotten politicians, Rand Paul and Earl Blumenauer and Dana Rohrabacher are talking about cannabis legalization on the stump. We've got Republicans talking about legalization. God bless us, we're in a good place. So really what we try to do with the MJBA is get you and your brands in front of your audiences. So your local community is your first audience. Because you're going to play here, whether you're a grower, a processor, a retailer, or a service provider, most of your clients are going to be within 60 miles of your home. And so the folks that you see here in this room and that you see at other events and trade shows, get to know them, be nice, be helpful, because the companies you work for, the products you vend, and the relationships and positions you hold today will change very quickly. Right? But the people in this room will be the same folks you bump into again and again and again. So having been through a number of these startup industries like the .com, I'll tell you the most important thing you can do is be authentic. Come into this thing with all the right intentionality and be helpful. Try to build what's right for the industry first, understanding that we're not out of the woods yet, right? We're not out of the woods yet, so you have to stick together or you're going to fall apart on your bed. So based upon that simple philosophy, I'm proud to say that the MJBA is the fastest growing trade association, is the fastest growing industry in America. And we're literally seeing over the last couple of years Thousands of businesses and professionals come out to events like this, participate in meetups and seminars and workshops and job fairs. We have 500 plus businesses in the MJBA today, and we reach hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people through our business-to-business trade publications. So the marketplace is growing very rapidly. All of that, by the way, is without the benefit of mainstream advertising or marketing or promotion, because we don't have that. This is all grassroots. And so I'm going to suggest that the same kind of grassroots networking and marketing that has allowed us to succeed over the past couple of years is what you should adopt yourself, right? Cost effective, and ultimately it's relationship based. And that's our whole mission statement. So this is who we are, the company you keep. So my partners are Morgan, who is my president and founder of Women's Alliance. She's a longtime grower, and she's a member of an underground organization called the Women of Weed in Seattle, Washington. So when we started noodling about this after 2012, and we said, hey, what will it take for all of your friends who are growing this really fine product to take advantage of this new better initiative? We quickly came to, well, the first thing is nobody knows what it takes to get our license. And then, hey, what do we know about running a business? We know how to grow pot, we know how to make edibles, we know how to make tinctures, but we don't know anything about working with government. We don't know anything about raising money or about business planning or reporting into our state regulators. Who's going to help us with that, right? And so we all decided that that's where we would go. So the MJBA is a bunch of cannabis-friendly folks who are business professionals, long-time business professionals, who said, hey, if we can do it for mainstream America, we can certainly do it for an industry and a culture that is near to our hearts. We are really our members, right? Because at the MJBA, I'm not selling you anything, right? I'm going to sell you on the notion that collective association, that being a part of a large industry, a community, is better than going on your own, right? So the first thing you have to say is, can I do it all by myself, or am I going to need some help, right? And so I think most people fall down on, I'm going to need some help, right? And so what you see is that we have hundreds of members who are all along that spectrum. So these are growers, these are processors, they're retailers, and then there are everyone in between, from the credit union, financial planning folks, to real estate folks, to logistics folks. Everyone you need to know to start a your business. And then we have a pattern of national sponsors, folks like Miller Soils, folks like Normal, the national organization for the reform of marijuana laws, folks like MFETS, who travel with us all across the country because they don't touch the plant, right? So if you don't touch the plant, then you can start building community and sharing best practices. Eden Labs, BioTrack, we go all around the country to all of these events, and we talk about things like compliance, about software, about business challenges, and we bring the expertise, things we learned in Colorado, we were just sharing in Portland as we launched their first major trade show, and as that industry is getting off the ground. So the hard work that you guys have been doing here in Colorado for a decade, and we've been doing in Washington for a couple of years, right? That can now be synthesized and still and applied to folks in Oregon, so they don't have to make the same mistakes. And when we get to California, and we will in 2016, when we go to Nevada, when we go to these next level of states, we will already have these best practices, and in fact, they will be looking for you for partnership. Help us build our industry. And maybe it's not the same because we all have state regulations, but there's a lot that we can apply to different marketplaces. So since we last met in July, not only do we have a new space here in the Green Labs, and I'm curious to see if you like it better than Castleman's last month, but we've also been traveling the world. So here in the last 30 days, we've done things like the Spokane Job Fair. We're out in Eastern Washington, Canvas World Congress in New York City. We did a 502 compliant banking and financial services seminar in Seattle, Washington. We were just down through a VIP mixer and we're media sponsors and presenters at the Campus Creative Conference in Portland. So if you are interested in starting to understand what's happening in other states, if you want to travel abroad, you want to be part of these geographic or subject matter conversations, this is a good opportunity for you to do so. Here's just some pictures of the places that we've been. We're in Spokane. Spokane, Washington is interesting because it is for consumer packaged goods companies, right? The Procter & Gamble, the Johnson & Johnsons of the world. They look at Spokane, Washington as a test market. And they say, what flies in Spokane, right, will or will not fly in America? So they bring in the new sticky peanut butter and see if mom will buy it, or they price test to see if the fountain quicker pick her up will go for $2.5 or not, right? And so here we have a grand experiment. Will, in conservative Spokane, Washington, legal cannabis fly? We're right on the Idaho border for those of you who are geographically challenged, right? So you're right next to Idaho, which is not, you know, really wide-eyed. And so here's what happened. We took over the campus, the convention center, 900 job seekers now. We sold the place out around the block downtown Spokane. So the reality is that mainstream America and the local publishers and the local politicians and the local tax collectors came out and said, hey, we're all for it. Anything that will reinvigorate this community, which has been in near depression levels for more than a decade, we're interested in seeing if we can make that happen. Right? So that was really exciting. We were out at the World Congress in New York City, and you know that was an opportunity for us to go out and start talking about investors, right? Start talking about people who are not part of the West Coast cannabis scene, who are looking for business opportunity. And again, so we come out there and we say, wow, there's a ton of opportunity out there, and 500 people came by and signed up. On the folks who were interested, we had a conversation earlier, in playing in New England, where medical marijuana is in every single New state, right? Where New York City has just licensed its first 5 medical marijuana licensees, where that industry is getting started. Chris, you banned. Last time we did a banking seminar. This is a beautiful way that we educate folks, right? And I want to do one here in Colorado, given the fact that our state Colorado Cannabis Bank, right, did not pass federal muster, was not okay this week. And so yes, there's a lawsuit, and we're going to try to see if we can change that legislation. But quite honestly, if you are business practitioners, right, you're in the business today, you're seeing hundreds of thousands of dollars for your course, you don't have time to wait for that decision. You have to figure out today, how am I going to manage my cash, right? How am I going to make sure that I've got tracking of that cash? How am I going to make sure that I'm reporting that cash and not losing that cash? So we gathered together, in this case, in Washington, the Department of Financial Institutions and the Washington Bankers Association and the COO of the Singerman Bank and the CFO of the Liquor Control Board, RMD, right? And we had all of these folks, a law professor from Seattle University School of Law, to sit down and exist licensees and say, this is or is not possible. And we do these with a town hall style, and you can ask for that, right? We have to figure out, how are you going to get loans? How are you going to grow your business? How are you going to finance your expansion if, in fact, you can't get commercial loans? So there is a workaround, which is well out there. And then we do our meetups all around the country. Spokane, there's the National Organization for Development of Marijuana Laws. And they're talking about new zoning, outdoor zoning requirements that have just been passed, right? And as I said, in Portland, we had hundreds of folks come out to participate in Oregon's new market. Oregon, if you don't know, as of July 1, you can have home grow. Anyone 21 plus can grow up to 4 plants in your home. No requirements for medical indication. And as of October 1st, anyone 21 plus can go into any medical marijuana dispensary and buy anything you want, tax-free, no taxes until January 1, 2017, when they figure out the rules. So what that just meant, right? Seriously, until they figure out the rules. So what that just meant was, in Colorado, you had a regulated medical marijuana system that you flushed on a recreational license to, right? So you had a system. In Washington, we didn't have a regulated medical marijuana system, so we threw that aside. Let's not talk medical, and we started from scratch a 502, a recreational system. That's just now been in the process of being integrated. In Oregon, they did not have a regulated system, but they said, we don't care. If it's legal for you to own it and possess it, go buy it, even if those stores aren't licensed, even if the product isn't tested or regulated in manufacturing. So it's pretty much the Wild West in Oregon as of October 1st through January 1 with no sales tax. So those are interesting things, but in the meantime, they're inviting folks like us to come in and help them build those regulations. So that was a fascinating show from my perspective. And then the Creative Cannabis Conference, we were able to be not only sponsors of the event and exhibitors, but got to run a couple of panels, including we ran a panel on association. We had NCIA and Winfro and a number of the local Oregon associations there as well, right? And the message there, and from all of those folks, and I see Michael Miller's here tonight. Thank you, Michael, of course, for making the trip. Is that we all want to play together, right? So the answer isn't, do you join an association or do you join a community? The answer is yes. The real question for you as an individual or you as a business is, how robust do you want that involvement to be, right? And so whatever that level of involvement, if you want to be a volunteer, if you want to join as a business, or if you want to be one of those corporate or national leaders that helps us to build it, that goes along with us and helps to run these meetings, put together these seminars, and create content and build these solutions, then I highly encourage you to come see me afterwards. I would love getting involved. So next up, we've got Seattle Hemp Fest. If you guys are interested, the Hemp Fest has been going on for 24 years, and this is kind of the end of their Pro Festival. For 24 years, they've been saying, hey, legalize cannabis. And so now that it's legal, there's a business mixer, and the transition as we go into the next quarter century is all about how we build an industry. So with that community and activism meets now normalcy and business. That's really where the MJBA comes together. So our membership levels are priced where you can participate. If you're one of those individuals, we ask $100 a year just to help us defray the cost, right? And for that, when I say an individual, it means you're still looking for your place in the sun. You're still looking for a gig, right? If you're a business, $250 a year we think is a fair price to say, hey, help us to run these meetups. Help us to pay for some of that beer, help us to run the Media News Network so that we can disseminate this information. And then if you're a corporate or national sponsor, we have raised it. So again, I want to thank all of you for coming out here tonight. By your attention, by your time, by your energy, just being here tonight and saying, hey, on a Wednesday night in the middle of the week, in the middle of the season, I'm going to take some time to come meet my friends and help build this industry. So I thank you for doing that. I especially thank all of our local sponsors, our local businesses, and our national sponsors for making it happen. And again, if there's anything I can do, please let me know. I'm Dave Grimes, and it's my pleasure for you guys to see. Yeah. So with that, we're going to turn it over, and I'm going to ask Brian's name. There's Brian. And let's get your. Okay, this should be good.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Schramm. I'm with North Soils. We're a Colorado-based soil company that delivers our soil on the national market in Canada. We engineer Canada-specific soils. What makes our soils unique is that we use biochar in our soil. And biochar has the ability to hold on to water and nutrients and saves our growers and operators time, money, and labor, and having a soil that provides that to that. Another interesting features of biochar that we use as a foundation for our soils is that it enhances plant growth, it reduces fertilizer requirement, as we mentioned, reduces leaching of nutrients, it stores carbon in a long-term stable state, it reduces soil acidity, it improves soil water handling characteristics, increase soil levels available such as calcium, magnesium, potassium, and phosphorus, increases soil microbial respiration, increase soil microbial biomass, increase cation or nutrient exchange capacity. So we utilize it in all of our blends at North Soils with the exception of one blend. We service the industry and 2 or 3 are super sacks. One of our main key points about our company is we deliver consistent grow mediums. So as the industry continues to develop and mature, for growers and operators such as in Colorado that scale to other states, utilizing grow mediums that are consistent in nature, that are relied to the operator and grower with batch testing, that these individuals are better off when they're scaling into other states because it's about consistency of a product, and we intend to do that, and we're doing that in North Soils. One of the things that we also do at North Soils is we do a monthly Colorado update, which is essentially just certain bullet points on kind of key points of what's going on in the industry. One of the things that I want to talk about today is I pulled out the headline, which is the Colorado Credit Union denied, and our governor Hickenlooper is suing the debt. Just to read a little bit out on that. Last week, the U.S. Senate Appropriations Committee voted 16-14 to allow cannabis operators access to federal banking services. This historic vote is on the heels of the Federal Reserve System denying master account status to a newly formed Colorado Credit Union in Denver, who was prepared to bank the now legal cannabis industry in Colorado. So again, as Dave talks about how our industry is still developing. A case in point in this, and here it is. And we have Hickenlooper filing a lawsuit demanding equal access to the financial system. Next is we had the Colorado Board of Health, I believe for the 3rd time, voted again 6-2 not to add PTSD to the medical conditions that can be treated under the state's medical marijuana program. So we still have a lot of work to do as far as educating the public and professionals on this. So, and the last point is that talking about sustainability and the lack thereof in our industry, and the solution that North Soils provides for more sustainable solutions to our soil. Third point is that since the inception, since 2012, still our grow operations, there's been a 72% increase in energy use by Denver marijuana cultivation sites. So as we continue to develop our industry, we at North Soils, along with other partners in general cannabis, like to have the conversation surrounding sustainability and what each and every one of us can do on an individual level and on a company level to make our industry more sustainable, with sustainable practices and having these open conversations. And so we find the value in being a national sponsorship of the MJBA because for us, being a national member and because we sell our soil on a national platform, the MJBA is on a national platform. So we find value in how we go across the country, or get our message across and continue to help educate individuals. So with that being said, if anybody's got questions, please find myself afterwards. There's a lot more information I'd like to go into about biochar, but find me afterwards and we'll go into that. And Lewis Miller is also here that we can take questions for as well. So Thanks again, Dave.
Fantastic, thank you, Brian. Okay, so from soil to lighting, we're kind of starting off just like we're doing on production. So it is my pleasure to introduce Barry Anderson from Grow Elements.
I had to change my speech a little bit after hearing what David started. I started as an entrepreneur. In the mid-80s, I went got into the computer industry. And we were selling against big people, the HPs and Dells and IBM. And we actually we created a niche. I think any of you, from a business perspective, really have to come up with a niche. You have to do something different and better than other people in your industry in order to succeed. And really, that is the whole point. If you're just going to be another insurance company or another this or that, you're not going to be very successful. But to be very successful, you can always something really unique. And we did it, we started out in the lighting business. I'm a mechanical engineer. I really know a lot about lighting, so I started to get into this lighting. I selected this field because after spending 20-some years in the computer field, I saw so many parallels. What's going on here with marijuana is when I started in 1986 in the computer industry. It was just, there were only a handful of people in computers at that time. We rode that curve all the way up. I had 2 or 3 different businesses that I had, and I started them, ran them successfully, and I sold them, and it was very successful, but I ran up the curve. And that's exactly what you see here now. We have a curve in this country, marijuana. And the curve is just starting out here. It's going up at a very steep rate. It's actually like the computer industry. There will be a point when this will be playing off. And most of you probably want to get out of it and big operators take over. But in the meantime, there's many years of very successful playing that you can play in this field and do very well. But we got into this a couple of years ago because of the light, my background in lighting, we got into the lighting, and I went to some of the retailers, and I found out that, boy, there's an awful lot of confusion. You go into to buy a bulb or you buy a hood or you buy a ballast, they got dozens of each of these things. And well, what's the best? What do I want to do for what I want to grow? Well, I don't know, pick one. Or so-and-so used this and somebody else used that, and it seemed to work, so let's take it. I said, boy, this is an absolutely ridiculous situation. It's too confusing. So I set up some tests. I tested all the major bulbs in the market. And I found the best bulbs. And I found a 40% difference in the intensity of light on the 1,000 watt HPS bulb. We decided to go to HPS because LED was too expensive and really they don't have the intensity of light. In other words, 85% of the lights that are put out today in grows are HPS light. So we got into testing all these bulbs and I found out that there was a huge difference. And I thought, well, that means that some people today are using bulbs and they're only getting 60% of what they're paying. It's using 100% of the electricity. It's using 1,000 watts, but it's only putting out 600 watts of power. So we selected the best. When it comes to the hood, what do you want for a hood? We did, again, all kinds of testing. And we determined that these very large hoods are really what you want. Because most people use smaller hoods and use LED lights and light them right down at the top of the plant. And those top branches get a tremendous amount of light and get really big buds. Underneath that, those are getting shadows. And so those branches down below are putting out very small buds of marijuana. So what we do with our big hoods is we get the angles that are coming off the reflectors inside there. It goes inside those branches and gets very full blends. I'm smart enough to know that I'm an engineer. I still don't know anything about growing. So a year and a half ago, I hired a really good master grower who's been growing for 32 years. This guy is really terrific. So all of my theories, he's been tested. And he tested out in labs. Well, now we have our own grow. We decided it was no longer good enough to do it in the grow. So we have a 5,500 square foot grow that we are a commercial grow that we started specifically just to test on light. Of course, again, we have a dispensary with it, so we're doing the whole thing, but it's been a very interesting run. And we have now got best practices. We've got air bulbs out there, you've got bulbs and hoods, which is the best one. Well, we figured all of that out. We've got all the data to prove it. And now we're putting it inside our grow systems, both in the basement grows and now out in our beautiful 3,500 square foot grow. And we are increasing what this guy for 32 years, and he's proud of what he's done. He's got some really great yields. He's getting 30% more than he was getting before. So just taking lighting as not the soils. Obviously, you can change the soils, you can change a whole lot of things, CO2. But lighting is found the main ingredient in our system. We also found that people didn't know, for instance, when their bulbs were starting to fail. Every 6 months, people were replacing these bulbs. These bulbs are $60 bulbs, or screw-in bulbs, and $129 bulbs, or double-ended bulbs. Every 6 months, they're throwing them away. They don't know if they're good, bad, or indifferent, but they're throwing them away because bulbs, it's hard to tell unless they burn out. And bulbs deteriorate, so we came up with an idea that all you have to do is take a lux meter, because lux and PAR actually are related. And PAR is the photosynthetic and active response of the plant. And usually, for a year and a half, on these PAR meters, we have very good PAR. We found out, well, there's a constant difference between PAR and lux. And lux meters are $30 and PAR meters are $300. So if they want to use one to check their lights, so what we do is we actually are now giving a free lux meter to anybody who buys a substantial amount of lights, and encourage them to put the meter up there when they first start out, get a reading on it, every month go back and read every light in place. It takes about 3 seconds to do the light reading. And when they go down to 75% of what you started with, and some of them will deteriorate in 3 months, some of them will deteriorate in 6 months, some of them will deteriorate in 3 years. So we really don't know. Why not test them? That's what we do. So we're all about trying to save people money. We've come up with CAD design, so anybody who gives us a grow, we actually populate their entire grow with lights in 3-dimensional rendering, and we show the lights in there, the spacing, in both directions. So we really refine this, and I think the only way that people are going to be successful in the future is to really get in and do a very good technical job. It's no longer good enough to say, well, John did this and he had a good grow, so I'll try to use that too. Well, you may be able to do 30%, 40%, 50% better than John. So being open, the open mind, that's what we're trying to do. So thank you, appreciate your attention. If you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. Is Dan Sullivan?
Yes.
Yes, Dan, there you are. So you make an entrance. Fantastic. Dan Sullivan, yes.
Hi, everybody. How you doing here? How are you? Hey, I'm here as a consultant to Helix. Helix is a company that represents a software play in the industry. It helps with logistics for cultivators, couriers, companies of that nature, security companies. We are trying to empower the owner now. These licenses are worth a lot of money, as you know. A lot of people spend a lot of time and effort to get them. So we work really hard to try and empower the owner so he can control, or she can control, their licensee who works for them, whether you do in-house transportation or use a security company or a courier. And this allows you to be fully compliant with banking systems with some of our partners. We also work with several POS providers. It's an open system that allows you to use your in-house systems with banking modules and also courier security systems. It comes with a fully compliant app system, so you can put it on your iPhone or your iPad, and that allows you to control that all movement of product and all logistics of product. So the system's really neat. Helix is a new company out of New York. I'm here as a consultant talking on it about it on their behalf because the CEO couldn't be here. But we've worked with David for years now, with Blue Line and other companies, and I think it's a really good system for the owners and the licensees to control their destiny. And also, it really comes down to the industry moving into the banking situation. There are some banks that are opening up, so I think it's important that software follows that, goes with it. You need to have systems that follow the Cole Amendment, because if not, you're going to violate your systems and your license. And that's what's really important. Is a lot of security companies, couriers, you might have someone that you're using as a third party running your systems, but if they're not a compliant system, they can violate your banking account. So it's really important to tie all that together. And Helix believes it's important to have that done by the owner, because they're the ones that are either using in-house systems or they're the ones that are using security companies or couriers. So, can't demo it tonight, but if you'd like a presentation, we'll give you the company's information. We do have people that do presentations. It's a really good software. it's not that expensive, it's a monthly type of system. So compared to invoicing or having people do that for you, it actually is a cost saver. And it does tie to currently right now, I think Atlas, BioTrack, and MJBA Freeway is looking at tying it. I think in the industry, you're starting to see, especially with the big POS providers, open sources, open systems that allow a lot of third parties to tie into them. And I think that's where the market's going. So if you're interested, let us know, and I'll put you in touch with the company. Thank you for your time.
See, we're rolling right along here. Now we've got a little bit of a change. So we've gone from production to software. Now we're going to talk a little about entertainment. So now, so think about how am I going to do am I going live here?
Are you on YouTube? I'm on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. Sure, why not?
YouTube.com/me, accent, overtime, easy.
Maybe the sensor room?
Yeah, that's it. Actually, the only thing, actually, it's not right there, I was just producing his comments to it. It's not right there, it's too. Thank you. Right there, it's not right there. The reason I say stop right there is that, one of our sponsors is, Boulder Cannabis Extract, and so we're using it in our student. And, so I'm producing
Product placement, in other words.
Yes, we have plenty of opportunities for it, so we want more than one. So this is a trailer that we shot, and then we went on to get SAC compliance and started our first part of principal photography at the end of last year, and then trailer together and a ton of other stuff that we're now ready to get back into production and finish up this film, a few more days of production, and all the help we can get. And the way we've structured it is a combination of kind of a crowdfunding model where you're gift things, you're putting a great time and lots of really cool stuff. But we're actually also doing an equity model for investment of $1,000 or more. It's basically different packages of $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 with the idea that we can get you your money back. Probably about a 12 to 16 month return at this point with a 200% rate of return, and we'll have sponsorship opportunities and just tell your friends and go ahead. So
Roll camera.
Roll camera. I'm gonna get
Is only mandatory.
a 7 foot. We look like dudes to you.
No, sorry. I don't know, I mean, maybe this is being indiscreet. Something you truly are. What you truly are.
The money, the girls, who the fuck are you? Look, you try and fail, right? When the dream is over, you know you're here. If you ever really try, then the dream was up. You can live with romantic fantasy.
Hold the boulder, son, dude. You're impatient. It's making me
Tell your friends. And as a result, I just want to kind of give props to David. You know, he joined another Maryland Association, I'm a member of the SCIA, and I'm finding myself just like deeply involved in the industry as a result of moving and all the things that. And actually, this is right where I was here. The guy older, they have a private community. So, and then I also work with recreating and almost. I just got me. So I have found myself because of getting involved in
As a community, really.
It's really a wonderful community. So I'm great experience. I'm excited to finish it up and then get it out into the world. We have a whole sort of farm sort of, we'll do our own thing and part of the Colorado that we need to just grab it. I mean, here's the work in Colorado. So it's kind of the game. And so thank you guys for your time.
Fantastic. So now we have, it's my pleasure to introduce General Canvas. Clay Breyer is the new director of marketing over at General Canvas. There you go. Sorry for that. How you doing?
Hey everybody, thanks for coming out. David, thank you for putting this on. We always enjoy coming to these things. We got Hunter and I, my name is Rich Garland, this is Hunter Garth. We're with General Cannabis. We will come up and introduce ourselves and tell you a little bit about what General Cannabis is all about. Some of you may know General Cannabis is a publicly traded holding company. So,
Good. I think they're filming here.
we're made up of specialized subsidiaries. Our goal in this industry is to be a full service provider to the industry. Through Next Day Crop, we offer consulting services. Through Iron Protection Group, which Hunter runs, we offer full service active security and transport services. And we also have GC Supply, which is a wholesale option for clients. Caleb is behind GC Supply. We source and order and ship products to clients all across the country in the industry. We also have a few projects we're working on. We have GC Finance and GC Finance and the Greenhouse. GC Finance is our lending wing. We're trying to work out the nuances of that. Lending space is definitely a challenge. We're working through it. We are. We're open to any opportunities anyone might put in front of us, and try to work together. It's definitely market dependent. And then we also have the Greenhouse. The Greenhouse is our shared workspace. Just currently went under construction yesterday. It's the first day of demo. So we are working on putting like-minded entrepreneurs and businesses and nice portable office space in South Denver. So they can be with like-minded professionals, bounce ideas off one another. So a client can go in there and have access to a number of different businesses in the space. But because I run the consulting wing, I'll just tell you, in a couple of minutes what we do over the Next Big Crop, what we're all about. We offer full service consultancy to clients. When we got into cannabis in 2009, we designed, built a number of facilities. And 2 years ago, when we started forming Next Big Crop, there's a lot of people coming into the industry, needing information, needing support and help to get involved. And that's kind of where we found our sweet spot. We like to take clients from the concept of their business all the way through operations. Doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it's a plug and play solution. But from the start, we help clients find a business, evaluate different markets to get involved in, different barriers to entry. From there, we help them get a license or get involved in a number of different application processes. We're successful in Nevada, successful in Illinois, secured a number of licenses with clients here in Colorado. We're also working in Maryland as well on a license as soon as they release their applications, but we're very familiar with the competitive application process. From there, we do facility design in-house. I just sent a CAD drawing off to Grow this today. It's nice to put in a facility. We work with architects and engineers to kind of get their, provide a gardening perspective into the design. Our goal is to get people thinking large-scale agricultural practices, industrial practices, kind of the based in growing techniques in mind. So we feel that with our expertise in design, we're able to do that for people. Once we have a facility, once we're up and running, we help staff, hiring, training, providing training material, all the compliance documents that go along with that, and just getting people operational. Once they're good to go, we hand them off the 100 guard, and get them all secure.
Yeah, so I do the security portion. I started architecture a little over a year and a half ago. We went from about 5 employees to 70 employees in under 5 months. Really grew and had a great audience, a great group of clients, and what we found out we were really good at was selling and providing service. I come from the military, I was in the Marine Corps. Caleb was in the Marine Corps with me. We kind of developed, we understood security, but we didn't understand this, how to run a business that grows from $3,000 a month to $200,000 a month. We didn't know what we were doing. So one of the things we did is we went to became general managers. If you can get us on the street, we can build this business. What we had to do is we had to stop selling, stop doing and growing to learn how to run a business. Came to general manager and said, look, we need help here. They came back and said, why don't you, let's do an acquisition structured deal. We did that, we moved forward. With our reach, because of the clients that we had, we were able to introduce several different line items of business. General manager, wholesale supply. I had the relationships with the cultivators, the dispensaries, so on and so forth, so we were able to introduce several different aspects of the business to those pre-existing customers, and then allow myself and my team to really get back out on the street to grow this business and develop relationships. So ultimately, what General Canvas has kind of transformed into a business model is how can we get this community of successful entrepreneurs who can have support with capital and understanding of and experience of running business. So what General Cannabis does is they take this opportunity for entrepreneurs to work or to take it back into the business and allow them to really get out and make money. And all of us collectively have this large reach of relationships that we developed. And so far it's worked out great for us. We're enjoying it, and we're just happy to be out here and spread the word and see the business.
If anybody's looking for a security option, Hunter hires only veterans, so I think it's a really cool way to get people. Thank you guys very much. Again,
Great. Well, then that's the final loss. I think we're doing, is David here? David? Fantastic. So I met David at CampCon Denver. Right? David here? He's here? Not here. Okay. We'll learn about more things for you next month. So now we'll go into OSHA protection. Jody found you, and there you go. I have a presentation, right?
You do. I don't know if we're going to go into it. So while he's getting that started, my name is Jolene Donahue. I'm with the Ocean Connection. We help employers avoid unnecessary fines. Our newest colleague, Carrie Slater, is going to see her around as well. But we help employers on employee safety and OSHA compliance. And there are a lot of misconceptions that we want to correct. And so I kind of wanted to bring some of that information for you. There is always the concern that, well, OSHA can't come in, it's the federal government, so why are you even here, what are you doing? Well, you still have to follow OSHA regulations if you have one or more employees. This is a really good time to start getting those systems in place or that's what they do. And it will, we are seeing activity anyway, and where you're mainly seeing it, they can come in on referrals. So you have another regulatory agency in there, CDC or CDC or NIOSH, or they can community, they can refer back to OSHA, and OSHA can do an inspection. We've been responding most recently to employee complaints. Disgruntled employee gets fired, they call OSHA, hey, they fired me because I said that this was unsafe, and so they fired me, and guess what? OSHA comes knocking on the door, and they're hungry because it's called whistleblower, and it can open up a really big can of worms. And so we've been helping get that door shut, and there are things that you can do to kind of narrow that exposure. You can't control the people aspect of it, but you can't control what goes on. One, before it happens, but even if you get a letter, and let's say you're not 100% compliant or you don't even know what that means, we can help respond at that point and get you in place for today forward. There's a lot of different aspects of that. And I brought a few pictures of things that we've seen, because I think that's the best way to go in. So respirator use, if you have respirators in use in your facilities, they are one of the #1 things that we're seeing the inspectors look for, and one of the main reasons we have things. If you have a respirator, you need to fit testing every single year. You need to have a medical evaluation done on site before they wear it, even if it's voluntary use, even if it's their own respirator. And so it's just a missed opportunity. And kind of the scary part that we're seeing is that OSHA is starting to cite for employees. They always had the right to do so, but now they're actually doing it. So if you have 6 employees wearing respirators, and they come in, they can issue you 6 citations. And the citations are capped at $7,000. So if you have 7 respirators in use, or 7 employees with exposure, your full exposure is $42,000. Or it's really easy to get the other piece in place in the meetings. So that's one of them. What else is coming out here? And that's just another type of respirator. So even if it's not a respirator with cartridges, some of them look like dust masks. They're actually not. If it says N95 and it says respirator on there, you still have the same requirement that you have. There was a change to the housing communication standard within the last year. It went from the right to know to the right to understand. And there's a full set of training. It takes about 10 minutes, honestly, to show your employees all the things they need to know to change the standard. But this is one of their cash cows. So if you have heard of them as material safety data sheets, now they're safety data sheets. There's some of the changes with the big security, they're called pictograms, there's red triangles. You have to explain that your employees need to know and how to apply that. This is another one, like I said, their hash cows, one of the main concerns are coming out of missing the opportunity to do this training. All employers nationwide, any industry were required to train in December of 2013. Most employers have missed that opportunity and didn't know it, so they're scrambling to get those pieces in place. So it's really simple training you can do. It doesn't take that long, but you can save yourself, because again, they have set precedents for doing for employees. If you have 70 employees, you can have. Chemical safety in general, even if you're a really green facility and everything you use is all natural, there are chemicals that are of concern. And there's certain storage requirements, there's labeling requirements now. So if you're using isopropyl alcohol and you buy it at Costco in a gallon drum, you pour it in a little teeny spray bottle, that little spray bottle has very specific requirements. There's 6 things that have to be on that label. And so we can help you with that too. It's really important that you have all of the components on there, and it's easy citations that they should be able to avoid. What else do we have? That's just an example. I wanted to bring this to your attention. There was a change within the last few months with OSHA's signage. And so this is the poster you probably see in most employers, and if you have a payroll company, they probably have it as part of their poster. This is the new poster. You do not have to purchase the new poster. So if anybody tries to sell you the new poster, you don't legally have to. OSHA says that either one is fine for right now. At some point, we get the new stuff to get it updated. But you can see the word. So don't think you. And yeah, you can print it off their website as well. Fans. Boy, we see a lot of fans. A lot. Do not take the guards off. Okay? Per fan or per employee, whatever the inspector wants to do, you have the potential, you have to have a guard in place. Even on the rickety fans that are as fast as you can get, and you can stick your whole hand in there and not even get a scratch, you still are required, unless it is 7 feet or more, unless all your employees are 7 feet tall, then you might have to go a little bit above and beyond. But unless it's 7 feet, above 7 feet, you don't have to have a guard on. But if you have them any lower, make sure you have it. iWatch stations, and I put a lot of different types on here because you can buy all of these right now. Every single one. The only ones that are OSHA compliant are this, where it's one hand, one motion. You're going to see some different kinds of that, plum units. Or you can have something like this that maintains 15 minutes of water flushing. That's okay too. This is okay. You can have those portable units for those areas where you can't plumb. As long as the manufacturer has designed it, normally 15 minutes is sufficient. It ties in with your SDS or safety data sheet. Do not buy the bottles. Do not buy these that go onto the end of your sink. They screw onto the faucet. They take much more than one hammer motion. $100, so a waste of money. You will still get cited if you have that. So buy the right ones. This wasn't from a marijuana facility, but I see this a lot where we have overhead storage. We might have an area up here that isn't guarded right. You have to have 3 levels of guarding. So this one, they had to have a top board, a mid board, and a top board. And there's other ways you can do it, but if you have any of those, if you constructed a room and you have work done above it, or you're using it as storage, or you have a ladder that goes up to it, you do have to have some type of either fall protection or a guardrail system in place. And some of these are easy to catch during installation or during construction, but if you're already at that point, that's okay. These are the pieces. You also have to have a load limit sign. So if you don't know what the load limit is, that means how much weight can go on top of it, you have to have it permanently fixed in an area where they can see that. Exits are a usual that I'm seeing now, and there's some misinformation that goes around. We had the fire department, very nameless, rhymes with Denver, and they told one of our facilities that they did not need to have lighted exit signs in the interior of the building. That's not right. If you've heard anything like that, if it's incorrect, there's a lot of regulatory agencies that will tell you otherwise, including OSHA, including the state licensing, etc. You have to have lighted exit signs on the way. You have to be able to see within 75 feet. The question comes up a lot in the grow rooms. It's like, well, I'm not a green person, so if I can kill a spider plant, I could do not. In the rooms, they're dark, right? You top to ceiling for a certain cycle, and that's okay. You usually have one exit or whatever. There's ways that you can get around the lighted exit sign during those times. And there are exit signs that you can get that are glow in the dark, that illuminate depending on how much light is on it. And manufacturer will help you with that piece of guidance. You don't necessarily have to hardwire it. There's battery operated units that are just fine. You just have to check the battery interval. There's things you can do to illuminate on the light ones or the glow in the dark ones, and that's okay too. So don't get tied into having to change everything just because of that. So you have to have that. And if not, then not an exit sign. Right? So if there's something in the room, you can't use it as an exit. If there's a door, you either have to say storage or kitchen or an exit. Don't block them, please. That's bad. It's too trouble. If you have vent trainers, there's requirements around it that have to be secured. There's as the wheel goes away, there's a certain distance here and at the top. The wheels have to be retested before you put them in. Vent grinders, there's a lot of criteria. They're also very, very scary. I know you can get them at Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever. The wheels have a tendency to explode. You need to train your employees how to test them before they put them on, because they kill people a lot. Every single one, people die from this, and I see all those things. Lockout, tag out, electrical, missing ground plugs, these are all easy tags. Usually, on average, it's about $1,200 per unit, right? They can go all the way up to $7,000 if they feel like it's serious. They don't usually about $1,200 per round.
An extension cord, you bring that.
Well, now be careful there. We've got extension cords as well. You cannot use extension cords. Any temporary wiring throughout your facilities. So, gosh, I've been in so many places where we have extension cords being used just to do that little extra bit, and that'll get you in trouble. You have to have a hard wire. It has to be the right type of wiring and casing to be used. Anything like this will get you in trouble. Overloading, obviously, repairs of electrical chain, splices, cords, etc. Daisy chain, all of those things you have to be addressed. And that's part of the OSHA. You also don't want a lot of electrical panels, combustible storage anywhere near them. There's different ways working with that using space types, which wasn't much you can do, but there's things you can do less than. Ergonomics, scissors. One of the changes with OSHA's regulation this year is that you do have to call OSHA should you have an amputation. So you have someone with a pair of scissors, they cut off the tip of their finger, whether it includes bone loss, it's called amputation, you have to pick up the phone and call. If you have someone on the job that has a heart attack and they fall over, great, fantastic, now you have to pick up the phone and call OSHA. So employers don't realize that. Hospitalization at all too. Ergonomics has been a big piece. There's no specific regulation that applies. There's no regulation that will tell you what has to be in place, but you do have to avoid unnecessary or recognized hazards. So you're going to have to address some of the things that come up with those type of repetitive motions that we see. You're standing on the concrete in the same position all day, stretching, breaks, etc. There's things you can do. Hearing protection, some of the processes I've seen are very, very loud. This doesn't apply to every employer by all means. We've been in some areas where I thought it seemed kind of loud. We came out with the audiometer, and it's well within range. And so there's quick tests. Now we don't do the specialized testing for that, but I can give you my hand and some need to be concerned about. It's about 2 seconds. But you might have to have a full hearing protection program in place if you have processes that are loud. Any forklifts, powered industrial trucks, anything like this, there are regulations that require a certain amount of training, safety pieces in place. Again, you have to worry about the electrical. All good. Fixed ladders, I've seen quite a few fixed ladders. You don't have to get cages on them. There's other methods that you can do if you have a fixed ladder and you're not allowing your employees to go up them. And if you have ladders that is fixed in 20 feet or up, definitely have to have something in place. There's different avenues that you can take with that too. Any questions on those? And the last one today, if you do have questions, we have a little orange flyer over there, certainly we'll look for you to close side. I like sharing information. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. There's nothing worse than being one-sided as a business owner or being held to a standard that you didn't even know existed. And so we want to help you along those lines too. We'll help you avoid those things. You don't have to have those problems.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that brings us to my favorite part of the meeting, which is the open networking. So I want to again thank all of our presenters and all of our sponsors. Really Soils has provided the cake, so we're calling it the highlight hour. Thank you, Lewis and Ryan. If I can do it for you, let me know. Enjoy the networking. Yes.
End the broadcast here.
Yeah.